want to ever put anything else up there, if we want to put a bigger tank up there, then we have to buy that property from that developer or that property owner, whoever owns it at the time, which most likely will end up in us taking it by eminent domain, which most likely would end up in court because we had other options besides doing that.
All right, we need to wrap this discussion up and move on. So what's the action suggested right now?
This one is not an action item.
Okay, so it's just discussion.
It's just discussion.
We need public comment.
Public comment? Anybody? Okay, we'll move on. Item 9. Approve option agreement for purchase of utility easement between the district and the county of San Luis Obispo for St. Lawrence Terrace pump and tank site between Power Road and North River Road and San Miguel, approved by 3/5 vote.
So this is part of the last discussion. Two of the alternatives involve the property at Power Road and River Road. In December 23, or December 22 rather, sorry, the board directed myself to work with the county of San Luis Obispo to determine the feasibility of purchasing the land, which is adjacent to the power substation between Power Road and River Road. And after a glorious year and a half, we finally got somewhere. So what's proposed or what's presented is a purchase agreement or purchase option, I guess, for a permanent easement over the property adjacent to the power substation at the corner of Power Road and River Road. It would involve the area at the base where we currently have a booster station that's no longer in service, and the upper portion that's next to the power station that would be in the future would be developed into water storage, if that's the option that goes for. The request at this time is to provide direction to either sign an agreement or not. The purchase cost of this property is $113,000, which is the fair market value according to an agreed appraisal. We additionally would be responsible for recording fees and any transfer taxes, which would be minimal. Again, alternative 1 and alternative 3 would both require this, at least part of this property to move forward. The cost, although it would be paid for currently by the water department, it is part of the grant to acquire this property, so if the grant is approved, then this would be an eligible cost that would be reimbursed.
Okay. Director Collins, you have any comment?
No major comments, just that as we move forward with the development of the site, I've made it very clear over this entire project's existence that I would like to see that hillside is barren, and that there's either some trees or other landscape that's planted alongside that property. Because quite frankly, it's barren.
We have weeds.
You have weeds, gophers, and rattlesnakes. How exciting.
I haven't seen any rattlesnakes over there. We got gophers for sure. Landscaping would be part of the overall plan as it's developed.
Thank you.
So the timeline, you said that this would be needed. So if we didn't approve this today, is this just stalling the project then? And then I'm just thinking of price of property. Is this just has the prices gone up on that type of, where it doesn't really have much value other than that, right?
So the way that this property was approached from an appraisal standpoint is because it's being, like right now it's right away, it has no parcel number, it has no use or value essentially. However, once you carve out the 2.03 acres, then now it's a parcel, and now it's actually zoned for rural residential. So now it's a residential one. So if we weren't buying it, but it was carved out, it would be a house.
Right there by the substation.
That's kind of what I said, but you know, they have to look at it, you know, objectively. So its price is based in large part on what it would cost to buy that type of residential property. Which the 113,000 is actually on the low end. So we did have quite a bit of back and forth on whether that was an appropriate price, an appropriate comparison for price. This is, in our estimation, the most equitable to the district.
Okay, all right, thank you.
To answer your other question, on whether we buy it now or not, the only risk to not buying it now or in the relative near future is that property costs could go up. The county may elect not to sell it if we decide that we don't want to do it right now or in the very near future. They may elect to not allow us to buy it. And long term, going forward with any sort of booster pump station at that location would require this property and would, getting it in the beginning, would allow us to make that assertion through the entire permitting process and not be doing permitting and planning on the hope that we get that property.
Another question, does this also help with any future development, such as the Pretty Smith property to be developed? Is this booster pump? I know this is getting a little off topic, but.
So purchase of this property and development of a booster station in general would facilitate building out the properties on Magdalena and the Pretty Smith property.
It helps with that, okay.
It's not for that specifically.
Right, I understand.
The purpose is not that specifically, but it will allow us to occur.
Okay.
Yeah, so grant money could be used for the purchase of this property, so going back to Annette's comment, why wouldn't we wait until we know about this grant? Because it sounds like the whole project's dependent on this grant. Right, we don't get the grant, nothing's gonna happen.
So we have to move forward with something. It's a matter of whether or not it's paid for under a grant or not. So we will eventually have to build something, and we will have to pay for, either we're gonna end up paying for it all out of our own pocket, or we'll get a grant to help offset the cost. If we don't buy it now, like I mentioned earlier, or don't buy it in the relative near future, we are at risk of designing something on a property that we don't own, and the projected cost of designing the tanks and a booster pump station at this location or the other two options is roughly $1.4 million by the time you get through the design, the environmental work, and all that. It's much harder to do all those things, and if you don't own the property or have reasonable right to the property that you're going to do it on. Because it could be that we get all the way through it and say, oh, well, okay, now we're ready to buy the property because now we have the grant. Well, now the property's not available, so now we have to start over somewhere else.
It's always a rush. So we're gonna take this out of our capital reserve investment for water, which would now we have $158,000.
So we did receive other money recently in the last month, I think, that has added to that probably doesn't reflect in the financial report.
Right. How much?
I don't know exactly, but ballpark, it's roughly $150,000 for water.
Oh, really? Where'd that come from?
From people self-help housing.
Oh, okay. That's good news to hear.
And we are getting, well, actually, we got additional connection fees today for one house. But projects like this, they would be, those funds would be reintroduced to the capital fund as the homes are built and capital funds are made available to the district.
Okay, thank you.
Director Davis?
Yeah, did I understand you right earlier that that building down there has a booster pump in it, and you said it wasn't working?
It has two 2-horsepower pumps in it. Their original goal in their existence was to pump water from the left or the west side to the east side when we were using the in-ground tank that is at the San Miguel Reservoir site. When that tank was lower than the San Luis Terrace tank.
Okay.
So once we built the 650,000 gallon tank, those booster pumps had no purpose anymore. The pressure equalized at higher than what they were able to do.
Yeah, but is the plumbing and everything still there? I mean, if you were using, where was the water going to?
The water comes off of River Road, goes into that shaft, and it comes back out to River Road.
Right,
So all it did was transfer water from one side to the other.
right. One side to the other.
Right.
Okay, great.
And all it was doing then was filling the San Luis Terrace tank.
Yeah. I guess what I'm saying is, could that location be used for your booster pump?
Yeah, that was my original intent.
Yeah.
So it would be larger equipment to meet fire flow.
Right. And
But it would be at that same spot.
that building belongs to the C.S.D., right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, you got everything right there. Put the booster pump in there.
Well, a small fire pump is about the size of two of these tables put together, so.
I'm not saying use the ones that are in there, I'm saying upgrade the booster pumps that's in there. So, I'm just
Yeah, that's an option.
throwing ideas out. I mean, if we own that building, and if it can be utilized, do it. I still like the SLT tank myself, but
Okay, is that it, Director Davis?
yeah.
Okay, my comment is rather than chance not being able to buy the property in the future in order to complete the project and get the grant money, we should buy it. And if we find out we don't use that option, then we can sell it. And maybe get a profit if the property goes up. So you're not losing anything, you're gaining property. If you're not gonna use it, sell it, and get it back to the district. So I'm for this.
And one other thing I wanted to say also, I don't know if anyone else has actually ever been up Power Road or up to that site. The view is honestly magnificent for our community, especially when the sun sets along the hills and you can see it in the mission. Honestly, and I've said it since the beginning, I've said probably as early as 2018, if we cannot build a water tank at that site, then that site should be developed as either a park space or open space for our community to enjoy the beauty of our community. We don't have enough parkland as it is in this community, and I think the sunsets, it should be enjoyed by everybody. So if the grant doesn't happen, there's another use for it, for this town.
So just as a reminder, the district can't build parks.
I am aware of that. It's also an easement, and I don't feel like getting into an argument right now. And the other problem too is that the county parks have been given an opportunity to purchase land they refuse to do. So if they're given land, they will actually build the park. So
That concludes your remarks.
that concludes my remarks.
Okay.
Did we have public comment?
We're moving on to that now.
Yes.
After that. Anybody like to make a comment, press the lectern and sign in? Okay, if not, we'll move on. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
I'll second.
I have a motion on the floor to approve option agreement for purchase of the utility easement between the district and the county of San Luis Obispo for the San Luis Parents Pump and Tank Site between Powell Road and North River Road in San Miguel. By Director Calvin, second by Director Gregory. Director Calvin?
Yes.
Director Baker?
Yes.
Director Davis?
Yes.
Director Gregory?
Yes.
Director Spinelli?
Yes.
5-0, no absence.
Item 10, banking powers, Five Star Bank, general manager and financial officer, approved by 3/5 vote.
So this item and the next item are the same, but are together, but essentially different, I guess. Five Star Bank has had approached us and and based on their offerings at their bank, it would be to our benefit to switch from our current bank to Five Star Bank. In order to do that, the board needs to authorize myself and the financial officer powers for banking at that bank, which is the same as our current authority at Pacific Western and Pacific Premier. So that's what this item is for. The next item is for the board's signing authority.
Any comment, Director Calvin?
No.
No comment?
Director Baker? Director Davis?
Yeah, tell us what the advantage of switching banks would be.
So Five Star Bank is offering money market accounts for our savings accounts at roughly 4 to 4.5%, where we're currently getting like a 0.01% at Pacific Western. Five Star Bank, their government branch is more suited to dealing with governments and helping governments, whereas Pacific Premier doesn't have that ability or that interest, I guess. In addition to that, Five Star Bank also offers additional savings for they're not savings, I guess, but they have fees for some of the services that we get, same as Pacific Western does. However, their fees are offset by what they're investing from our capital account or our operational account. So although we do get 2% in our general checking account, they're also making a little bit of interest on it, which covers our fees. So assuming that we keep enough money in that checking account, then that'll cover all our fees. We won't have any fees similar to what we have at Pacific Western. However, there is an option for us to actually make money on our checking account, whereas we're making $0 right now. I don't think I have in here, no. But so the preliminary estimates when we were making the decision to go this route was looking at the overall interest that we were receiving. So for all of our accounts at Pacific Western, we were basically getting less than $300 a month from almost $5 million. At Five Star Bank, it's possible that we would be getting closer to $10,000 a month. So it's quite a bit more interest, which makes the hassle of switching worth it. They do offer other sundry services that will help us better manage our money to make money without having to go outside to another investment firm. So all the little pieces kind of help bring this to being a better option, a better fit for the district. Part of one of the benefits, I should say, is that they will provide us the equipment so that we don't have to go to the bank, which removes the ability for somebody to get robbed on the way to the bank, just run off with all the money. It'll all stay at the district. The cash will be picked up by a courier. The checks will be deposited electronically, and we'll have real-time accounting of our funds. So it'll make things, after the transition, it'll make things a little bit better for the district overall, which hopefully would reduce our overall risk and the overall cost to do our banking.
So,
That's it.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Wait, wait, wait. Wait, public comment? Any? Okay. I have a question. Can we consider both item 10 and 11 together, since they're just basically approving the general manager and the board of directors with this? And just take a vote on both by 3/5?
You have to make clear that you're taking public comment on both.
Okay,
And then
we
you'll
take-
have to do separate motions on both, but then you can move on.
Okay, well, then that's just what we're going to do anyway. Any public comment? Seeing none? Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve resolutions 2024, 27, and 2024, 28.
I second it.
Should I take two votes?
Yeah, I'm gonna need you two votes,
Yeah.
okay, guys? So first, resolution 2024, 28. That's the financial officer and general manager. Director Baker.
Yes.
Second by Director Davis. Now we're gonna vote. Director Calvin?
Yes.
Director Gregory?
Yes.
Director Baker?
Yes.
Director Davis?
Yes.
Director Smiley?
Yes.
5-0. Now we're gonna vote on approving banker powers for the board of directors.
I think we need a motion.
Oh,
Or are we just going to vote on
No,
it?
he's
Okay,
going
for
on
both,
that one.
okay.
Yeah, we have to take separate votes.
Okay, cool.
So that's clear on the minutes.
Right.
okay. Banking powers for resolution 2024-27 for board of directors by Baker, second by Davis. Davis?
Yes.
Baker?
Yes.
Gregory?
Yes.
Calvin?
Yes.
Smiley?
Yes.
I mean, sorry. Yes. 5-0.
Item 12, update on the San Miguel Fire Department temporary housing unit.
Hello again.
Fire Chief?
So on May 23rd, 2024 board meeting, it was requested by Director Gregory and seconded by Director Calvins to provide an update on the temporary housing unit. So the report is submitted as written. There's a lot of information included in that report. To read every line item would probably take a considerable amount of the board's time. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Director Calvins?
No, I just want to say thank you for the report. It's very unfortunate, just, it's the same thing with the county. All the years I've been here, it's been the same thing with how they operate at the planning department. Just, they're never happy, they never tell you what they want. They always delay projects, even when it's going to help people, possibly save lives. That's just the way the planning department is operated. And it's a very unfortunate reality that we live with. It should not take this long for this, and I appreciate your efforts to make this facility and bring a beat station to our community after decades that it's been missing. Thank you.
Looking forward to seeing it. Thank you.
Director Gregory?
So just so that the public can hear a little bit, what is do we have a projection?
So this report was prepared in order to be submitted for this board meeting. We've had some additional forward progress, you can see on the timelines that were laid out with the transition to a different design team to satisfy the county's requirements. With our 6th plan check submittal, we were able to receive a tentative building department approval after a sit-down meeting on the 14th of June. So that was a lot of progress made. The minor use permit has been approved. It's shown as a note in there, but the note is the minor use permit and the building permit. One will not, go 100% without the other, although the flow chart shows 100%. With the curb gutter and sidewalk waiver that we've been working through, you can see there's a long timeline with multiple submittals and back and forth with council and county council trying to come to an equitable solution for this. The last update was that county council finally realized that they were incorrect with their interpretation of what we were trying to achieve, and the focus was on the Keller property, not be exchanged for the curb gutter sidewalk for our future fire department expansion, which we will be working on soon. So that's where we're at with that. So our council prepared another red line and resubmitted that to county council for review. The good news was that the bond requirement is going to be 50% less than what they anticipated. They did have a bond requirement of $283,000. And our council argued that we're a public entity and we shouldn't be subjected to performance bonds, but the county council saw different. I'm paraphrasing. So our bond requirement will be reduced to 140 and change. The financial officer is working on a letter of credit with our banking institutions. Now that the board has approved to move forward with our new banking institution, they are willing to provide a letter of credit to satisfy the county's requirement at a lower rate. Am I getting off course? Legal, look at me.
No, you're fine. It's an update.
Thank you.
Related to the project.
Last time you wanted to smack me.
I'll turn around and give you the eye.
Thank you. So we are in the final throes of the curb gutter sidewalk waiver. Once we are completed with the permit process and the curb gutter sidewalk process, just to be clear, we're not going to install any curb gutter sidewalk for this project. We did submit, so we'll have a final accounting and we'll figure out where we've landed, because the minor use permit was a blind side that nobody anticipated. It was never mentioned in the pre-application meeting. The change of classification, you'll see in the notes, we submitted the permit and they immediately changed the classification. We went back and forth trying to waive that classification. And we had arguments based on building code and fire code, and the planning department pulled something out of health and safety code and stayed steadfast to that. So we ended up conforming to the essential services facility standard. That prompted the design team change and all the other things that came about. At any rate, there's a cost to all of that. So we will come up at the final with a cost and figure out where we actually are with the project. We're currently, I think, at 52 or 54% of the project budget spent. So that means we have enough money to purchase the house and have it set, because that was part of the contract agreement with the manufacturer, but very little to do the site improvements. So once we come up with that dollar amount, we're going to try to, well, we're going to need to come up with a way to satisfy the balance. And I've searched high and low, and I have a lot of information regarding the financial status of the project. Every month, the financial officer provides a report showing where we're at, an accounting of everything. So it's been very transparent, the process. You just have to look for the information.
So, thank you for all that. Do we have, I know you've given us this before, I think 2 years ago,
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
for a date?
If you look at the county's website, they're giving us an August timeline for everything to be completed, which is new. We haven't seen any light at the end of the tunnel up to this point.
This is August of 2024?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Because I think we talked about this in August of 2022.
I've gone back and looked at staff reports for years regarding this process. And there was a point in time where I just stopped providing the updates because we were taking a lot of staff time and a lot of board time to go over the same thing over and over and over. Meanwhile, nose to the grindstone, head down, and pushing forward the entire time, just trying to get this to fruition. We are, I've said it before, we are close, but we are extremely close now. Having to sit down with the county staff and bringing the new designer on board and face-to-face with the new supervisor of the planner, I think had a big impact.
Okay, great. Well, thank you very much. I do appreciate
My
that.
pleasure.
Looking forward to it.
Director Baker.
Yeah, this is unbelievable. What do you think the cost has been just for the delays? If this had been like a common sense project with a common sense county government, that would, What do you think all these additional costs?
I have a breakdown, but we have to really dive into it to find out what the additional design costs were to accommodate the county's desire to, for what their requirements were, what their change in requirements were. I know that we spent $5,000 in engineering, which was unaccounted for, to come to review a cookie cutter foundation design system. So that was an additional cost. We paid, I believe, $8,900 for a minor use permit, which was never spoke about at the pre-application meeting. And there's a lot of design time that went into that.
Okay, well, that's okay, I'm just gonna get it.
I can pull up my spreadsheet here, but there's a lot.
Yeah. I'll come and talk to you, because I'm really curious.
And Michelle and I are going to work together to really drill down on all the invoices and figure out which ones are the overages. You know, with the curb gutter and sidewalk, we have a ton of overages with the curb gutter and sidewalk waiver, the design that had to go into it. We had to design the entire frontage for the fire department for a future project, which may change. But in order to satisfy the county to say, well, we'll accept your concept, you had to have a design. That was a design they could put a dollar amount to. It was a lot of work and a lot of time. And then our district council has been on point with, you know, not accepting nonsense from the council. So there's a cost to that, but we will drill it down. But I'm just waiting for the dust to settle so we can actually get a number and not have a moving target anymore.
All right, thank you.
Director Davis.
No, I don't have.
Public comment? Nothing?
Sorry, I just have a question. My name is Robin Johnson, and I live at 675 15th Street. So this is the temporary housing that the fire department would use when they're on call for 24 hours, 48 hours, that type of situation?
I could answer the question if the board approves.
Go ahead.
Okay, so the history of it is, yes, it is a facility that will be utilized for fire department staff when needed for 24-hour housing. So we were able to pull members from outside agencies to work at our department. In addition to that, it's going to have a component which will be for the sheriff's department's use, exclusive use. They will have the master suite for this 3-bedroom modular home, and they will be able to have a report writing station. They can use the restroom, and they'll be welcome to use the kitchen area as well. So they can take on a meal, get out of the heat, get out of the cold, and have a presence in town.
Okay. Any board comment?
Yes. Mr. President, I have a board comment.
Okay.
First off, I would like to actually thank the audience for being through this meeting to the end, to the last item on the agenda. I know that a lot of times this can be pretty, it can be a lot.